Hi everyone, I know it's been a little while since my last video, which was the two-part review of the Polestar 2 after I'd covered quite a significant amount of miles. And I'm now up to, let me have a look at what it's saying, 19,213 miles, so nearly 20,000 miles. And in this video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience with Volvo servicing, because I had the Polestar in for its first service, and also the latest software update on the Polestar 2. So, let's start off with the servicing. So the Polestar is really good. This is one of the great things about a car like this. It has long servicing intervals. So I'm just going to show you the display that gives you some information on the servicing in the Polestar 2. So on the main screen here, if you go into this page here and you click more, you can click car status. And under car status, it's showing me no warnings, everything is fine. If I click service, recommended next service in 678 days or after 17,303 miles. So this is really cool. It has a very long service interval, which is really nice for an owner of a car like this, because it's going to cost you less money. You're not going to have to get it serviced every year, which is great. So when the service reminder did come up, I contacted Polestar and they told me to call my local Volvo dealership. They gave me a few different options. I went to the Volvo dealership in Crawley, which is located near to Gatwick Airport, and I got the car booked in. I took it in, and it was an interesting experience because I don't know if all car dealerships are like this. I haven't really had my car serviced that many times by main dealers, but initially, I was told on the phone they'd need the car all day, which surprised me a little bit. Then they told me when I got there they only needed for a couple of hours, that I could wait. But by that point, I'd already made arrangements to go for the day, so I left the car with them. I pointed out a couple of issues, one of which is this seat behind me. You probably can't hear it, but it creaks. Every time you push against it, it makes a creaking noise. And then the window. It's horribly squeaky. You can hear that noise. So I pointed out those two issues, and then there's a little piece that's missing on the front of the car, and you can see it in this shot here. It's the little tow bar, the little hook cover that's fallen off. So I mentioned those three issues. They said that little hook cover, they're going to have to order that in, which is fine, but it's never arrived. So they said that would be delivered to my house. I still don't have it. I've got to get back in touch with them to try to get that sorted out, so I'm not sure what happened there, but I had to pay for it. So the car was in for a few hours. I went back at the end of the day to collect it. It's quite nice. They give you this walkthrough video that shows you all of the issues. They spotted a couple of problems with two of my tires, but unfortunately they didn't have the tires available in stock. They couldn't get them that day, which would mean either leaving the car or taking it back. So I decided to just go elsewhere because the tire price they quoted was really high. So I got that done independently. But the main issue with collecting the car was, firstly, there was no evidence that they'd really done anything. I don't know what you do when you service a car, because an electric car like this, I have no idea, because they didn't say. There wasn't anything that they particularly could do. And the two things I pointed out, the squeaky window and the seat, they didn't even look at. When I spoke to the guy who handed the car over, he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. It looks like they didn't even look at the issues." So let's just say my experience with Volvo was pretty poor. I mean, I didn't have to pay, fortunately, because it was included with this car, was the servicing in the package. So that was good, but yeah, it wasn't a great experience. Especially, it's not close. I mean, it's 20-minute drive, so to go back again to have this window and the seat looked at was just a little inconvenient. So anyway, that was my experience with the servicing. I don't really know what they do, but the good thing about the car is it has long service intervals. You're looking at like 18,000 miles or so between services, which is really great. So moving on from the servicing, let's have a look at the latest software update. This is something I've spoken about so many times in videos. The software updating on this car is excellent, and it has recently had another software update that I installed yesterday. So I'm just going to show you how you can see what's been done in the update and what new things there are over the last few updates on this car. So we're back on the car status page. So to see your software updates, you go into the settings menu here, and I'm going to click software update. And it'll say checking for updates, and then you can, so your software is up to date, version P2.0. Now if I click release notes, it will show me the software update release notes, which I think is a really nice thing. So you get this full page where you can go through all of the different software releases all the way up to update P1.0. And that was back when a timer for the parking climate was issued. But if I go back to the more recent ones, so I haven't actually spoken about these in the last couple of videos, but I just want to highlight some of the really nice things Polestar have released. Going back to updates in software that's P1.8, charging timers were released, eco climate and heater on-off buttons added to the climate app. Range assistant app button remains. Optimized battery precondition temperature when plugged in. Range assistant app improvements. Radar stability improvements for adaptive cruise. Improved steering assistance for lane keeping. Digital key improvements. So these are all great things that they release, and this eco climate thing is quite good, because I don't really use it, but it's nice to have that. When I first got the car, there was no option for this, so now you've got eco climate, and essentially what that just does is what most electric cars do, is it scales back the electric usage of your climate control system if you want to try and extend your range a little bit. I don't know how much difference that makes in the real world, because I haven't tested it. I suspect if it was on a long journey, maybe you'd see a difference, but I don't tend to use it. I just leave it on the normal. So let's go back and have a look in the software update page. So back to the release notes now, and yeah, other little improvements. I wouldn't say they're noticeable, but I think it's nice to see that Polestar are doing things to improve the car all the time. Now these types of things here, improved traction in slippery conditions, traction control and one pedal driving improvements, that's quite good to see things like that. Drivetrain optimization, increased torque output when battery power may be limited. Good little improvements there. And then version 1.9, they added this ready to drive notification. So when the adaptive cruise control is activated and the car is stopped behind another vehicle, the system alerts the driver when the leading vehicle begins to move, if no action is taken. So for example, distractions. That's actually a really useful feature. If you're in traffic and you find yourself stopped and you just sort of look away, and then suddenly the traffic's moving again. Rear automatic braking, again, that's good, because I had a few that triggered far too easily, and I found that kind of annoying when someone goes behind you and your car suddenly hits the brakes really hard. And then we come to the latest version, software 2.0, Android R, latest available Android Automotive OS that enables new app categories and future functionality, in-car functionality improvements, connectivity, things like that, and then Polestar app functionality improvements, which are really nice to see. So hopefully you can see from that overview of the release notes that there's quite a lot of different things that Polestar have implemented on the car over the last few months, and I would say that their software updates are actually quite regular now. In the early days there weren't that many frequent updates coming out, but in the last sort of 6 months the updates have become more frequent, and there seems to be a really strong focus on improving the car as time goes by. So I hope this video has been interesting and helpful, even though it's fairly short, just covering a little bit about my experience with the servicing and the latest software updates on the Polestar. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.